So this is the gauge cluster of the Mazda Rx-8. So we will be cleaning this gauge cluster. We'll be tearing it down. So you'll see there's mud here. You'll see that I think the flooding is of that high here, since there's no mud here at the top. Not sure yet. So we're gonna clean this up, but first we're gonna tear it down. But first we'll have to remove the main gauge cluster out of this gauge hood. So you'll see there are 2 screws here that we need to remove, and 2 bottom screws here. There you go. So there are 2 more screws here at the top. So the screws at the top is much shorter I mean, and at the bottom which is longer. There you go. I'm sure we can lift this out now. There you go. So far this gauge hood looks clean. No mud here. Only here, this part. So we're going to pull this back cover here. You just need to press down this lock tab while pulling it out, just like that. Next one is here. Pull it out. There you go. You see there's mud. And now to remove the front cover here, you'll see I think there are LEDs. Oh, there's the socket for the light. Pull it out. There you go. And there's a slot for the wire. Then to remove the front cover, there again lock tabs. Push it down while pulling this other lock tab. There you go. This is for a flooded Rx-8, which the owner told me that he tried to run his Rx-8 in deep flooded waters. That's why his Rx-8 engine got busted. So the owner bought a Japan surplus Rx-8 engine, but first we're going to tear it down to make sure it will run well and for a very long time, as much as possible. So pull this out. So far it's good that the needle is working, not stuck. So we'll be removing this already, since this rubber thing covers the area here is already broken due to it being brittle already. We'll not be returning this back anymore. So we're also going to remove the lens here. As you'll see, they're just Phillips screws. So there you go, all the screws are removed. Try to remove the lens now, but there's a lock tab. See, it fell out, the center one, but this one there's a lock tab that you'll need to push down. So there you go. So as you see, there's mud in these areas, also here. So let's try also to remove the light here at the top. So the socket goes here on the rightmost side. So let's remove the screws. So we just lift out, there's a slot, the wire goes here. There you go. So as you'll see the LEDs here inside. Actually, per board there's only a single LED. It's a curtain light. Next, this will be the hardest one. Looks like we need to pull out the needles here. I'm sure this is a buzzer. So since we'll be trying to remove the needles here, tried to position this for the fuel gauge. The needle, I moved it to the full clockwise position and positioned in between the E. So for this oil pressure, so the L The needle of this oil pressure is the leftmost part of the letter L. For the RPM, it's at the 0 position. There you go. There you go. So for the temperature, position like this and in full counterclockwise, almost at the edge of the bottom of the letter C. So I'll be pulling this out. Oh, the last one in full empty, position like this. So I'll be pulling it out. Let's try to remove this first. There's an adhesive at the back of this plastic thing. Let's just remove it slowly. There you go. You'll need to clean this well. So this is the problem here. Oh, so see, there's an electrical tape covering the light here. Let's see what it is later. Next to remove is this one. There you go. So since this needle is very hard to remove, we'll be applying this strategy here. And then, boom, there you go. Now to remove this, there you go. So there you go. Since the needle is out, we can now remove the board here at the back. Take out all the screws. 1, 2, and 3. So there are only 3 screws that we need to remove. There you go. 3 screws for the board. Now there are lock tabs that hold the board in place also. This one here. Pry it slowly. There you go. So you'll see there are mud everywhere. So this one fell out. It's just like a distribution of light. This one also, you can just push it down, pull it out. Next is this one. There you go. And this one here. There you go. Let's remove the lens here. See the mud. First, we'll check the light that has been covered up here. So it's between the battery and so it's a check engine light. So some previous mechanic covered the check engine light here. I raised it there at my ceiling light, and you'll see that this is a check engine light that they covered. Let's push it down. There you go. It's out. Let's try to remove the plastic here, pushing it outwards. There you go. This one is bigger. There you go. Last one here. So there you go. This is the complete teardown of this gauge cluster here, except for this metal screws here. Not too important, that's why I need not to remove it anymore. And the most sensitive part here is this board here. So I don't know if I can still clean this up perfectly. So this is after completing all the components of the Mazda RX-8 instrument cluster. We will now be assembling it back all together, starting with this one here. So as you'll see, it's very well cleaned. And this board here. So first, you have to insert back this clear plastic. There's a proper slot for it, so you won't go wrong. And next will be this one here. So we have 4 clear plastic. This one is differently shaped than the rest. The one for the RPM. Now to install the board. There you go. And to install the screws, one here, 3 screws only for this board during this stage. Go. Now to install this lens-like plastic to diffuse the light of the LEDs. Make sure it's fully seated. There you go. Next will be this one here. Just to install this. There you go. Locked in place. This will be this one. Follow the guide. Next is this. Again, follow the guide. Insert first the guides. There you go. And then also here at the center. There you go. And for this part, we'll have to install back the lens. Snap it here. There you go. Next is this one. Snap it here. And then to install this plastic cover at the back, snap it in. There you go. Install the screws. So next will be to install the slides here. So insert this tab inside here. There you go. And now to install the screws. So to now install back the needles. So there you go. We will now then align accurately the needles based on my notes. The video, the earlier one. So there you go. I've installed and aligned all the needles to its original position. And when you already position the needle the proper position, that's the time you will press down the needle, but you make sure before pressing it down, center it so that it will not be forced to go to a wrong alignment. So to install back this cover, press it down fully to lock it in place. For the wire here, press this down, the wire, this wire here. There you go. Now to install this back to the hood, the gauge hood. Actually, these two screws doesn't hold this gauge to the gauge hood. There are two screws deeper down there, but it's missing, not returned by the previous mechanic. Install two screws here, and now to install the gauge hood. Now to install the two big screws and two long screws here. So there you go. I've tightened this one, and also this one. But in order to remove the gauge hood here, you need to only remove these screws here, here, and two more there down deeper there, not the one here. You don't need to remove that. Also this one. That's the hole for the screws that are missing. I didn't remove any screws from there. I'm sure the old mechanic was able to return it back. But there you go. It's now well cleaned. I'm sure it will work. It will work well. So we'll just install this back to the Rx-8.